Welcome people, we end up back at again with another video. In today's video, I'll be giving a review of Chelsea's 3-2 win over Brighton yesterday at Stamford Bridge. Now, first things first, I'm happy that we won. We needed to win because after the other games had been played on Saturday, we sat 11th in the table. Now, those 3 points that we got against Brighton yesterday mean that we move up only one position to 10th, but I'd much rather be in the top half of the table than the bottom half of the table. It looks a lot more respectable and it gives you a lot more hope, right? First thing, that's the very first thing. The second thing is we're now only 5 points off of Man United, right? And we play them on Wednesday. And I'm thinking if we do a good job, we get 3 points against them, we're only 2 points behind them, right? And that helps us in two ways. Number one, we are getting closer to one of our rivals for top four. And number two, we're starting to look more respectable again. You understand what I'm saying? Because what had happened is we had picked up some form, had a few stumbles, right? Such as losing at home 2-0 to Brentford. And then from there, we lost to Newcastle, right? And that has kind of taken us back to where we were before we started picking up form. So now I'm hoping that we're picking up form again. We're going to be all good, right? So that win was very, very important, and we truly, truly needed it. We needed it way more than Brighton did. Because as it is, we won, but we're still quite a few points behind them. I think we're 3 points behind them still. So we really needed that. Shout out to us for getting the job done. It was a bit nervy at times and stuff like that. And there's a few things that I'm not happy about. I'm seeing a few red flags. But the main thing is relief and joy about the fact that we won. Now, let's speak about the dynamics of the game. And then after speaking about the dynamics of the game, who scored, when did they score, how were we playing, how were Brighton playing, right? I'm going to speak about the red flags that I'm concerned about. So, first things first, Brighton controlled this game, right? They had more possession than us, and as such, it allowed them to control the game and play the game how they wanted to play it. And they decided that how they wanted to play it was they want to be attacking, and they want to force us back, right? And the way they pushed us back, I would say, is unprecedented. I didn't expect that from a Brighton team, to be very, very honest. I know they're good in possession, right? And they're no longer the small team they used to be. They're now growing as a club, but I didn't expect them to do that to us. If a Man City does that to us, and Arsenal does that to us, and Manchester United does that to us, you kind of see it coming. But for a team like Brighton to do so, it was rather surprising. However, what I'm happy about is the fact that, number one, I think they were poor in possession in the final third because they didn't really create anything in that first half. Apart from that goal, right, that they had, they were not good in that first half, in my personal opinion, because they didn't create anything with all the possession they had. They didn't test Robert Sanchez. So you could say maybe that's also congrats to us because we didn't allow them to be in positions where they're creating many, many chances and they're getting many opportunities to score. So shout out to our defense, I guess, but also we have to acknowledge that they weren't good enough in possession in the final third, right? Now, as for us, what I liked about what we did is, although we were forced to sit back, I think we kept a good shape. And when I'm saying we kept a good shape, I'm speaking especially about Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. I think they positioned themselves quite well, right? In that, in large periods of the game where we had to defend, right? And we had to make sure that we're not leaving spaces in behind and the like. I think they really did well with that. And I think they also did well to win the ball back from Brighton, right, on certain occasions. Now, when I'm looking at Enzo, he won the ball back and he also scored two today. So I'm happy about that in terms of his overall performance. Shout out to him. The only thing that brings a little bit of criticism is him getting a yellow card. But other than that, he was good, right? As for Caicedo, he didn't get booked, but I think that he gave away a few too many fouls that were rather needless, and we're lucky that we didn't get punished as a result. And then on top of that, I think what I didn't like that he did is the fact that I feel like he gave away the ball a bit too many times. So I wasn't happy with that. However, it didn't result in any serious negative consequences, so we move on. Now, in terms of us playing on the counter, right, I was thinking that we're going to get our goal through Mudryk running in behind, right, or Sterling running in behind, but that's actually not how it came about. It came from a set piece, and I really didn't expect that, because we have this thing where on corners we don't always beat the first man. So for it to come from a corner, our first goal, was very surprising. So in the 17th minute, we get a corner, right, and Conor Gallagher is tasked with taking it. He puts the ball into the box, right, and first of all, I'm happy that it beat the first man, right. Second of all, I'm happy that it was put into a dangerous area. And then third of all, I'm happy that Benoit Badiashile, right, he wins the first ball, right, which is critical, right? And so he wins the ball, right, and he has to control the ball, play it in the air, right, across the 6-yard box. And luckily, it found Enzo Fernandez, who composed himself and just put it into the back of the net beautifully. Now, what I like about Badiashile is that he won the first ball. And after winning the first ball, you wouldn't expect a center back, right, of all players to have the composure to put in a nice ball across the face of the 6-yard box for a teammate to head home. You don't expect that. So shout out to him for that. Then for Enzo Fernandez, right, I like the fact that he got himself free, right? He lost his man, and then after losing his man, he was composed enough to put the ball into the back of the net as opposed to missing a sitter. So shout out to him. Just 4 minutes later, we get another corner, right? And Gallagher puts another excellent delivery into the box. He beats the first man. It's a dangerous ball, right? And this time it was Nicholas Jackson at the back post, right, who heads the ball across the face of the goal. And after that, Levi Colwill heads the ball home and gives Chelsea a 2-0 lead. At that point, we're comfortable, we're cozy, it's looking too good, right? And I'm very, very happy with the fact that I think we had in the first half, 30 minutes into the first half, I think we had 3 attempts and then 2 shots on target, and both of them were the goals. So clearly, we were clinical when we got our opportunities. So shout out to us. Unlike Brighton, who had a lot of the ball, but they weren't creating many chances. So we did really well with that. And I'm happy that for once we reversed the roles. Instead of being the team that has all the possession and does nothing with it, we were the team that didn't have so much possession, but we did a lot with it when we did have it. So shout out to us for that. Now, in the 30th minute or so, Conor Gallagher, right, trying to do what he does best, right, to win the ball back in a position high up the pitch, right? He makes a mistake and he catches an opponent with his studs, right? And he gets a yellow card, right? Cool. So when he got that yellow card, I'm thinking this man needs to chill out. He really, really needs to chill out, because now it's getting a bit dangerous, right? Because we don't want another sending off, you know what I'm saying? And he's had a few instances where he's fouling players here and there, and now he's finally been booked. Now he needs to be careful, right? And not fly too close to the sun, because if he flies too close to the sun, he could get burnt, get a red card, he's sent off. Unfortunately, that came to pass, but we'll get to that. So Conor gets his yellow, right, and play resumes, right, and Brighton was still trying to force the issue, trying to create a goal, find an opening, and for the most part, they were struggling to do that. At times, Adingra on the left wing, right, our right, did twist up to Sassi, but it wasn't that serious because he didn't do anything with the ball, right? And what's his name? There's this Brighton player who plays on the right wing, right, who found himself in a little bit of space, right? Buonanotte, that's his name, right? He gets the ball from Adam Lallana, finds himself in a little bit of space, and he's one-on-one with Levi Colwill. And I don't know why, but Levi Colwill allows him to cut inside and shoot with his left foot, and the ball ends up into the back of the net. Now, something that I'm not happy about is that it's not the first time this type of mistake is being made by a Chelsea player. Last time out against Newcastle, Benoit Badiashile let Anthony Gordon cut in with his right foot this time and shoot, and he scored, right? So I'm not happy about that, because we're repeating a mistake that we made in the previous game. But on top of that, what makes it worse is that Colwill himself has made this type of error this season. Against Tottenham, I think it was, Kulusevski gets the ball on the right wing, right? And he's facing up with Levi Colwill. and he cuts in on his left foot and he shoots and he scores. I think he shot the ball and it deflected off of Thiago Silva and ended up in the back of the net, right? So now Colwell's error frustrated me on two fronts. First of all, we made this mistake last game, right? But it was a different player. Second of all, my guy, you have made this mistake before. Why have you not learned from it? Why are you allowing it to happen? And players, whether it's a centre back or a left or a fullback, right, stopping wingers from cutting in and shooting, right, with their inside foot is a basic rule. It's a basic principle. You don't let a winger or any other forward cut in and shoot with their inside foot, right? Instead, you force them wide. If they then want to put in a cross, you attempt to stop the cross, right? Either it goes out for a corner or even better, a throw-in, something like that. But you do not allow them to cut inside and shoot ever, ever, ever. So that really annoyed me. So, yes, really annoyed me, like I said. And at this point, it's 2-1 and you're thinking, Brighton might come back into this game. And as a Chelsea fan, right, having seen that we were 2-0 up and we had done relatively well playing on the counter, really, I was happy with what I was seeing until that particular point. So now I'm thinking, are Brighton going to come back into this? Are we going to throw away another win at home like we did against Arsenal? So quite a few things were going through my mind at that point. Cool. I think it was 2 minutes later, Conor Gallagher is already on a yellow card. And he makes a very, very stupid challenge. And he doesn't get the ball. And he gets a second yellow card. And he gets a red card. And at that point, we're down to 10 men. And I'm just thinking, why? Conor, why? In terms of Colwill, right, I said that another player had made his mistake the previous game. And he had made that mistake earlier on in the season. And with Gallagher, it's the same thing. Not only was Reece James sent off in our last game against Newcastle, Gallagher was also sent off at Stamford Bridge in the previous season, right, against Leicester. It was Leicester at home, right? We won that game 2-1 in the end, but he got himself sent off. So I'm thinking to myself, first of all, you should have learned from Reece James playing as captain like Gallagher was, getting himself sent off. You should understand that that's something a captain should never ever do, number one. Number two, you've been in this situation before, my guy, where you're on a yellow card and you make a stupid challenge and get a red. So why are you doing it again? Where is the growth? Where is the progress from this mistake to the next mistake? There's been no progress, bro. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that worries me about this team. If you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, opponents are going to look at that and say, that's a weakness of theirs that they haven't addressed. Let's exploit that. And I think that's one of the things that could hinder us from achieving what we'd like to achieve this season. In terms of either having a top 4 or top 5 finish. Actually, the owners want top 4. Let's just leave it at top 4. And a domestic trophy would be nice for the fans, I think. So Carabao Cup or FA Cup. We're going to struggle to reach those levels of success if we put ourselves in positions where we keep making the same mistakes we've been making all season. Like, come on, my guy. Fix up and say, okay, I've made this mistake, but I'm not going to make it again. And make sure that you don't make it again. That increases our chances of success as opposed to just repeating the same old bad habits. So those are one of the red flags that I saw with yesterday's performance. But anyways, let's continue. So we go into the break and it's 2-1. And I was looking at this live stream on Eunice's channel, right? Eunice Talks Football. I was looking at his live stream and people were saying it's going to end 4-2 Brighton, 4-2 Brighton, stuff like that. And I was thinking they're being negative and all that kind of thing, right? But at the same time, they had a point because it was showing signs of Chelsea falling apart. First of all, we've conceded a goal, right? So now Brighton just need one more to equalize. And second of all, we have 10 men. So it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. Anyways, we go into the second half, right? And the pattern was the same, I would say, in terms of Brighton having the lion's share of possession, right? And really putting us under pressure and us simply having to play on the counter-attack. It was around about the 65th minute. We were in a position where we won the ball back from Brighton, right? And in attack, if I'm not mistaken, it was Mudryk, it was Jackson, and it was Palmer together, right? And with those three, they coordinated a counter-attack. And I think it was Palmer who plays a ball, right, in behind that puts Mudryk in, right? And he's being tracked by James Milner. And Milner's tracking him, right? And he goes shoulder to shoulder with him. But then Milner's legs trip up Mudryk, right? And then VAR is looking at that incident for a potential penalty, right? And initially the commentators were saying it's not a penalty, whatnot. And I disagreed. I saw it once only, and I could see that this is a penalty. It's not a penalty because of the upper body contact, but because of the lower body contact. Because upper body, it's fine, he's just going shoulder to shoulder, but lower body, Milner takes out Mudryk's legs. So I'm thinking, how can that not be a penalty? Do you understand what I'm saying? So luckily, there was an on-field review, and the referee decided to give the penalty, and Enzo Fernandez steps up. He puts the ball into the back of the net, and at that point, it's 3-1. It's looking chilled. It's looking nice, right? And at that point, I think there was a little bit of less anxiety because 2-1 is not a safe scoreline. 3-1 is better. It's not 100% safe, but it's much better. So I was a little bit more relaxed when we had scored that third goal. Now, Brighton continued to play how they were playing, trying to push us back, and it made sense because we had one man less than them. So for them to keep playing how they were playing, trying to put us on the back foot, right, and trying to force a goal that way was the smartest thing to do. Now they kept on going, and eventually they won a corner. And from this corner, the ball is put into the box, right? João Pedro, who had been a substitute that was put on, right? He finds himself close to the near post, right? And he's surrounded by three Chelsea players: Broja, Badiashile, and Thiago Silva. And none of them were able to deter him enough to prevent him from putting the ball into the back of the net. And this was late in the second half. I think it was like in the second minute of stoppage time. And the referee had added on 10. So I think they had around about 8 minutes left, right, to score an equalizer. And I was very upset with the fact that that trio, Broja, Badiashile, and Silva, did not stop João Pedro. Because what do you mean? As a trio, you're surrounding one player, and you can't stop him. And on top of that, someone like Badiashile is 190 centimeters tall. My guy, clear that ball, bro. Make sure it doesn't get to João Pedro. João Pedro is not as tall as Beno Badiashile, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, he's tall enough for him to be clearing the ball. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then Broja and Silva, what are y'all doing? Are y'all just watching Pedro? Because if you're not, then how do you explain the fact that the ball ended up into the back of the net? So that's something we have to fix up on, right? I don't want to be conceding from corners, right, and crosses into the box because people are not marking up or they're not paying attention or anything like that. Now, it's 3-2, Brighton trying to get a third, right, to equalize it, right? And there was a moment where they get the ball on the right wing and they put a ball into the box, right? And Levi Colwill's arms are up like this, right? But the ball hits him in the head. And it seems as though Brighton thought that the ball had hit his hand. So there was a whole review and everything like that. But ultimately, there was even an on-field review, which didn't make sense to me. But ultimately, the ref made the right decision to say, nope, this is not a penalty. It needs to go for a corner. But he didn't give a corner after that. It was a drop ball. I don't understand how that works. But anyways, not my business. And ultimately, we did get over the line. Luckily, 3-2 win. It was a nice sigh of relief at the final whistle. And I was very, very happy with the fact that we got 3 points, but just a little bit put off by the red flags, the lack of discipline, right, that Conor Gallagher showed by being sent off as captain, right? The lack of maturity, him making a mistake that he has made before, right? And Colwill as well. And then also the defenders not picking up a man off of a corner and then he puts the ball into the back of the net, right? Or they picked him up, but they didn't do anything about him to prevent him from scoring. So I wasn't happy about that as well. In terms of everyone else within the team, Robert Sanchez, I think was all right. I think he made a few decent saves. Just the one thing that annoyed me with him is the fact that there was a point in the second half where he could have given a no, in the first half, sorry, where he could have given a goal away because the ball is passed back to him, right? And that pass was very good. When I say was very good, it's a pass that he shouldn't struggle to control. But nonetheless, he takes his eye off the ball, right? He miscontrols it and it takes him backwards, right? And he was not too far from his goal line. So that ball could have crossed the goal line if he was a bit further back. But luckily it didn't and he got the ball away. Apart from that mistake and a few other errors with his distribution, I think he was all right. Right back, Disasi, I think he got twisted up by Dingra at times and Mitoma, but he put it in effort and he was playing in an unfamiliar position in terms of that's not his natural position, so it's fine. We move, let it go, right? Right centre back Thiago Silva and left centre back Benoit Badeshile. I think they were actually very good. Apart from Brighton's second goal, I think they were actually very good. So shout out to them. Left back Levi Colwell. On one hand, he scored his first goal for the club. On the other hand, he could have prevented the first goal, right? That's all on him, in my opinion. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag with his performance. Enzo Fernandez, I would say, he did get yellow carded, but he scored 2 goals, right? And I think he helped the team win the ball back on quite a few occasions. So shout out to him. Good performance. He can be very proud of himself. As for Moses Caicedo, I think he gave away a few needless fouls, right? But on the other hand, I would say that he did win the ball back on a few occasions, much like Enzo. And then another thing that he just needs to improve on is taking care of the ball, because he put himself in situations where he didn't have to put himself in, where he's now under pressure, he could potentially lose the ball and stuff like that. So he needs to stop with that. As for Mudryk, he was quiet, but then when he did come to life, what he produced was quite good. For example, in the first half, I think it was in the first half, he gets the ball on the half turn, right, on the halfway line, and he makes a very, very good run, and he decides to shoot, and he drags his shot wide, but it was quite a decent shot, and the crowd gave him a round of applause, and so did I, because I thought what he did there on his own, right, that solo run was very, very good. And then later on, it might have been later on, he creates an opportunity, right, where he puts the ball across the face of the goal, right, and it deflects off of a Brighton defender and forces the Brighton goalkeeper into a save. So again, you see, Mudryk in that particular instance contributed to creating a dangerous chance for us. So shout out to him for that. And then finally, him winning the penalty, which allowed us to score our third and the winner. So I can't ask for much more from him. Shout out to him. As for Sterling, I think he was fine. I don't have much else to say. Yeah, he was fine. There's not much that I can say. He should have done better due to the fact that we were so starved of possession, I guess. So not much for him to say about him, really. As for Nicholas Jackson, after his drama at the weekend, he got his assist, right? So shout out to him for that. It's not a goal, yes, but it's an assist. And his link-up play with the other players was actually quite decent. So yeah, shout out to him for that. Given the fact that he was starved of position as well, much like Sterling. So shout out to them for that. Cole Palmer off the bench. Well, he helped us get the third goal because he was involved in that counter-attack. And I think he defended decently well. You know, he really tried to cover the spaces, make sure that Brighton can't play how they want to play and get their goal. So he did well in that particular instance. Ian Maatsen, he didn't look match fit, bro. He did not look match fit at all, right? He had me worried because at times he's looking tired and he hasn't been on that long. But at the same time, I understand because he's always had to come off the bench this season in the Premier League. He hasn't had a chance to start and finish a Premier League game. So I understood his fatigue. I feel like he did get twisted up against Mitoma, but that also could be due to a lack of sharpness because he hasn't been playing. So I can't really blame him too much for that. And I think that's that. I think that review is comprehensive enough to encapsulate everything that happened. I'll see you guys again tomorrow for the Man United preview. And then after that for the review of the game Wednesday after the game. So For now, keep well, stay safe, all those good things, right? And stay tuned, right? Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell notifications to be notified once I've uploaded. And until next time, peace.